This is THV 11 News at 6.
Child care funding now once again a major cause for concern for parents across the nation as the Trump administration froze funds to all 50 states and says they will do so until each state provides more verification about their programs. And it's leaving a lot of people in limbo because it's still unclear how strict those new requirements will be. Thank you for joining us tonight at 6. I'm Brooke Buckner.
And I'm Faith Woodard. The problem has been top of mind for families for months. Back in October, parents, kids, and child care providers gathered at the state capitol to rally against two big changes to state funding. Federal cuts then forced Arkansas to make their own cuts to the program that allows families to pay using vouchers and left those using them to still have to pay a copay depending on their income.
But then a month or so later, new child care reimbursement rates were announced. They provide more funding for higher rated centers that are more expensive to operate. And though Aliva and child care workers we spoke to were encouraged, they both thought more needed to be done with help from Washington.
Well, the shutdown made it impossible to get help from Washington, and now the sudden freezes too. It's due to viral videos like this one out of Minnesota that sparked claims of fraud. And as CHV 11's Tanya Motorzitsky learned, it has daycare owners very worried.
At Lolly and Pop's daycare in Little Rock, every dollar counts to help keep doors open, including what owner Tabitha Christopher receives from the federal government.
Lights, water, gas, food, education, supplies.
But with federal government freezing funds after fraud allegations in another state, Christopher says it may force people to make tough decisions.
It's going to hurt more than just the daycares. It's going to hurt families making decisions on should they still work or stay at home and take care of their kids.
She adds she's still feeling the effects from the federal cuts in the fall when pandemic funds expired, which was a big cushion many daycares used to support staff, pay, and subsidies.
Even with just the cuts that they made, it's hurting people with the co-pays that the families are having to make. A lot of people pulled their kids from the daycares because they weren't able to afford the co-pays.
These two cuts come on top of not getting funds during the government shutdown. Money, she says, is slowly being sent out.
I just started receiving the funds.
Other daycares we spoke with say they've had to fire staff because of funding cuts and worry more layoffs may happen with this freeze if it goes on for too long. As for Christopher, she's hoping to keep her doors open for the passion she has.
I love what I do. I have passion for when taking care of people loved ones.
In Little Rock, Tanya Motorzitsky, THV 11 News.
Next week, lawmakers will testify on the case behind the freeze. However, Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison aren't invited to testify until a later hearing next month. It's not yet clear if the governor will testify, but the AG says he will respond in what he calls an appropriate time.
Quite a change over the last 24 hours or so, with sunshine and 70 yesterday. Today it was cloudy skies, rain, some drizzle, some fog, and our temperatures only managed to lower to mid-50s. There's the state capitol. Traffic out and about this evening, maybe going out to dinner tonight. The fog is broken up a bit over downtown Little Rock. It was awfully foggy not long ago. As we check radar, we do have a little rain left in eastern Arkansas and even some patchy drizzle that's hard to pick up on radar. Temperatures, well, we did manage the 70s today over western and southwestern Arkansas, down to 66 Texarkana. It's 38 in Jonesboro. Little Rock right now 49. We'll fall back tonight into the lower 40s. 38 Harrison to 50 Texarkana. So a chilly night ahead tonight. What about the rest of your weekend? Here's the way it shapes up. Only 53 tomorrow and 50 on Sunday. Mostly cloudy to partly sunny skies both days. We're going to take a look out into the future. Rain is needed around the state. We've got burn bans and wildfire risk. We'll try to find some rainfall here in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Tom. Temperatures may not be below freezing quite yet, but we know they will get here pretty soon, which is why the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program is getting ready to open applications to help you stay warm without having to worry about higher utility bills.
The applications open Monday, January 5th, and to be eligible, you must be responsible for your home energy bill, be a U.S. citizen or legal resident, meet the Accountable Resource Standard, and meet federal income eligibility requirements. For more information, visit our website, thv11.com.
Eligibility for a separate program looking to help Arkansans with disabilities is expanding and is also accepting applications right now. Anyone with a disability that began before they turned 46 is eligible to apply.
The previous limit was 26. Through the ABLE account, people with disabilities can save for everyday needs and basic living expenses without affecting federal benefits like SSI and Medicaid.
It's likely you know someone who has caught the flu this season. In the latest report from the Arkansas Department of Health, last week, Arkansas reported very high for 12 out of 13 influenza-like illnesses. There's no reported average school absenteeism rate since schools were closed on holiday break. Most of the confirmed cases are flu A, followed by flu B. For the week of December 8th, nearly 9% of students missed school in Pulaski County for being sick. And across the U.S., the CDC says an estimated 81,000 have been hospitalized from the illness so far, and 3,100 have died, including at least 8 children. They're still encouraging you to get your flu shot and say only about 42% of adults and children have gotten their flu vaccines this year.
As we ring in the new year, we're also having to learn about a bunch of new state laws that took effect January 1st. We've covered many of them for the past several days, and tonight Jacob Luthi shows us more on the ones impacting us most.
Some laws passed during the 2025 legislative session went into effect immediately if an emergency clause was attached. Others had a 90-day window, but many officially took effect on January 1st. Lawmakers chose that date to give state agencies, businesses, and consumers adequate time to prepare for these changes. Among the key new laws now in effect are several tax-related measures. Act 881 creates a tax credit designed to encourage corporations to relocate their headquarters to Arkansas. Farmers will also see changes under Act 621, which establishes a farmer sales tax identification card. When presented to a retailer, the card streamlines the process for receiving a sales tax exemption on qualifying purchases. And under Act 708, changes to the Division of Workforce Services now require unemployment claimants to report 5 work search contacts each week. The State Job Board will also match claimants with available positions. And another major focus of the bill signed into law by Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders last year was health care. Specifically, attention was paid to maternal health as the state grapples with having some of the highest maternal mortality rates in the nation. Act 866 requires health benefit plans to cover baby deliveries at licensed birthing centers. Lawmakers also passed several measures this year, expanding insurance coverage for other healthcare services, including care for brain injuries, breastfeeding support, genetic testing, and cancer screenings. Now, one of the measures is Act 424. It requires insurance companies in Arkansas to cover a broader range of breast reconstruction surgeries that include the dip flap procedure, which uses tissue from a patient's abdomen to reconstruct the breast. Doctors say these procedures are critical to both the physical and mental recovery of women with breast cancer and help position Arkansas as a destination for advanced medical care.
Thank you, Jacob. The city of Pine Bluff officially swore in its new police chief, Captain Sean Davis, who has been with the department for the last 23 years.
He's a Pine Bluff native who worked his way up from patrol, serving as sergeant, lieutenant, and captain. Davis recently oversaw special operations and training and helped launch the Real-Time Crime Center. City leaders, including Mayor Vivian Flowers, says he brings steady, community-focused leadership to the role.
The leadership of the gentleman who you will hear from today matters. The officers and firefighters and leadership who will follow behind them matters. It matters to our safety. It matters to our economic development. It matters to our youth. It matters to our prosperity.
Tonight at 10, we'll hear from the new chief about what the new role means to him.
Student loan borrowers in default might see their wage garnished starting next year. It's the latest development in Trump administration's efforts and comes roughly 8 months after the pandemic era pause on payments. But what does it mean for you? Tanya Rivera explains.
It's the new year, and the government is hitting the restart button on garnishing the wages of student loan borrowers. But let me be very clear, the garnishing of wages is only for borrowers who are in default. Here's the definition of what that is and what happens next.
You actually aren't considered in default and at risk of wage garnishment unless you're over 270 days past due on the loan. And if you are at risk for garnishment, the loan won't be with your servicer anymore. It won't be held by Nelnet or Advantage or CRI or any of those. It will be held by the Department of Ed. Their collections unit is called DMCS.
Mayotte says you will get notified before the wage garnishment starts and that it can be up to 15% of your take-home pay. She says if you're in default, don't wait for the notification.
I encourage anybody whose loan is in default to resolve that default, to prevent or cease that garnishment. And they can do that through either loan consolidation or a process called loan rehabilitation, where you make 9 payments on time in a row, and those payments are based on your income.
Where do you begin with all of this? Studentaid.gov.
Well, according to the Education Data Initiative, in 2020, Arkansas had a 12% student loan borrower delinquency rate. But in 2022 and 2024, that number was just around 1%. And we took a look at the numbers from the Department of Education on 5 colleges across the state. U of A has an 11% non-payment rate out of the nearly 23,000 borrowers they spoke to. A-State, Little Rock, UCA all sit in the teens, and UAPB sits at nearly 40%.
After a drizzly gray day today, tomorrow, more gray. Maybe not as much as today. A ray or two of sunshine can't be ruled out. It's going to be cool tomorrow. Call it mostly cloudy. High temperatures 40s and 50s. We'll look for rain chances down the road when we come back.